do not be confused. You know, I'm not getting in the car, jumping into the basement or anything just because I'm like, holy crap, all right, I'm gonna bring it here. I'm gonna sit in the seat of the bike and I'm gonna pedal. You know, not exactly. It doesn't demand that much actual, like, in the moment intensity. But, you know, one thing that I think about it is it's more so you've just got to get to a state of being where it's not a chore. It's just something you do, you know. And if someone who is naturally a complainer, or maybe not naturally, but just has very complaining tendencies, you know, every time they come to the gym, it's not, oh man, it's busy in here. It's, oh God, everybody's on my stuff. You know, it's not like, oh shit, there's a lot of energy in here today. It's, oh, just, I mean, I've seen guys back when I was in college, every time I'd see this dude, hey man, what are you hitting today? Pretty strong guy. Oh, and legs, I hate myself. God, this sucks. And I guess it depends on the guy. If for whatever reason that's like your way of, or that's somebody's way of like, yeah, that's just how I deal with it. You know, I talk about how much I don't like it. It makes me feel comfortable. It's kind of like a self-depreciation kind of, I don't know. But for me, I don't get it. And I definitely don't like it. I mean, I don't want to hear that. You know, I'm coming in excited to hit chest or to hit something. And then I got to hear somebody whining about how they drove all the way there, but they don't want to be there. It's like, obviously you at least want to be there a little bit, or else you wouldn't have even shown up, you know? So that's, yeah. But the guys who are really dogging it in a good way, and, you know, they just show up and they hit their stuff. You know, it's not, for them to actually bring it to, what would you call it? Would we call it like a 90% threshold of effort? Just enough where they're getting the job done. You know, you can have somebody where they're slacking off, you can tell they're not really bringing it, and then you have somebody where they're really killing it. You know, and the guys who can really bring it the most often are the ones where they don't, like, getting a workout in isn't a big deal. You know, it's not this high stakes thing for them. It's just what they do, you know, because they've kind of conditioned themselves to the point where just regular, or not even regular, but like a good workout, like really pushing it, I'm talking like just, that's what they do, you know, and that's their own expectation from themselves. Anything short of that would be like, what am I doing? You know, like it's, you know how you like to fold your shirts. You're gonna fold them the same way you do. You know, if anybody was like just balled it up and threw in your closet, you'd say, what the hell is this? This sucks. You know, so kind of a silly analogy, but it's definitely a practice makes perfect kind of thing. I think, well, with everything, I always look at it for the most part is there's never a black or white, one side or the other side response. Usually it's always kind of a gradient with a sweet spot in the middle, you know, and I think training is a very good example of that. There are things where the only way that you're going to get results is to really lock yourself in to a steady routine and repeat it. Right? Don't change anything. Don't try to make it flashy. Don't try to, you know, add or like switch it up every other day. Like just do the same thing over and over again and repeat it. Right? But that's completely neglecting the idea of new ideas of like different kinds of training, different things to, you know, throw into your workouts, where if you give yourself this completely boxed in mentality of like you're doing the same workouts that you did in your high school weight room back in the, you know, the 90s or the whatever, then, well, you're missing out, you know. But if you're always trying to change your shit up and it's like you're trying to do like, okay, who should I do low intensity? Should I do high volume? And you're kind of just being like constantly led in different directions consistently. Well, then, you know, you're never really gonna get anywhere specific, you know, because you're missing the consistency aspect of like just repeating hours on the regular of the same kind of working out and reaping the benefits. So how I look at that is I think I have similar skeletons, right? Similar frameworks of workouts that I do a lot, but I do at least always try to change it up in some way or another. And for me, that basic framework, volume-wise, usually pretty similar. By the time I've done 7 or 8 good sets total for a body part, that's usually about right. Sometimes less, sometimes more, but usually somewhere around that area, that's good. But, maybe one day I'll do or not one day, but maybe I'll do a lift where it's a lighter squeezing, not so like, set by set, failure, and try to up the volume of the workout rather than like the individual set intensity. I almost have to do that for quads a little bit, because if I go too crazy on a heavy set of squats, it almost puts me out of commission for any other really good heavy pressing, because now I'm just like either a combination of too sore, too like fatigued, to whatever, to really get anything out of more sets. So I mean, sometimes I'll do a lighter weight on Smith machine and just do a few sets of 10, where it's a hard set, like it's not nothing, but it's not total failure, so I can kind of get, instead of just one wild set of 10, a still decently wild set totaling 40 reps, right? And part of what makes me think that for legs, going on a little tangent, is when I see the guys who really like throwing in a lot of lunges. You're not doing one wild, insane, crazy, heavy rep of a lunge. The point of it is just that kind of fatiguing, like just soreness building effect of kind of a longer set, So I like, as much as I like trying to make most sets, heavy and wild, they're not all going to be like that. But my main point there is I just want to kind of hear what some of the rules that you guys sort of follow, because for me, like I said, I got the 8 set-ish rule, where it's not even a rule, but it's like by the time I've done 7 or 8, I know, like, yeah, that's about as much as I'm going to get out of this workout, for me, as I can. But when I was a beginner, I used to do 5 movements, 5 sets each, because that was what I thought the weight was. And kind of pyramid weight up every set, where I would do like, push downs with a rope of like 100 pounds, and then 110, 120, and like, just do things like that, much higher volume. And those sets weren't all like to total crazy failure, and I think it's not always the easiest thing for people to say. I think I've got a reasonable degree of humility when it comes to the working out, that I don't think I know everything, and I do want to kind of hear what else anybody has to say training wise, because I don't want to limit myself to new ideas. If I hear something that really makes sense and clicks, or I see someone do like a specific set of something, and I'm like, ooh, that actually looks pretty cool, right? I'm not just, if that maybe falls out of line of like what I normally do, I'm not just going to write it off, right? I at least want to put it into my own practice and see what happens. Because worst case scenario, I try it, I don't like it, maybe I try it again in a month, because sometimes movements don't always click the first time, but best case scenario, I got a whole new badass back movement, maybe like a finisher or something, that I never would have thought of on my own, which now I get to reap the benefits from, so that's sort of my main point. Try not to think that you know it all is, there's probably a cooler way to end that quote in like a more eloquent kind of fashion, but yeah, not an awesome thought to have, right? Always be ready to hear the next big thing, but don't be so persuaded by it that you drop all the other shit you've been doing the whole time, and then just start doing the most random new wave whatever.